Hello, everyone. My name is Tanya Moore. I'm here with my wife, my business partner, Mrs. Linda Moore, and we're going to talk to you today about soft skill development. And we're going to add in some of the things that we do for ourselves in relates to our businesses. We have one of our businesses, Changes of Love, where we write novels about our life story. And our other business is Demo Consulting, LLC, where we do human resource readiness strategy. Linda's role in both organizations is I'm allowed to be the CEO, and she is the president. And we do base our business out of our home, but we do have other people that are a part of our organization and suppliers and things of that nature that assist us. So I wanted to ask her a couple of questions as relates to our workplace and see where we can develop the soft skill sets. So the first question is, Miss Linda, is how can limited time impact our workplace? And could you provide me your examples of that?
Limited time can be very stressful, very stressful. However, I'm the type of person who needs that stress. If I don't have that stressful situation or that urgency to get things done, I'm a procrastinator. I'll wait and wait till the last second. But if you put that urgency up under me, my work is better, I think better, it seems like it just opens my mind up to get a better job done. But that's not the case for everybody. Some people, when they have that sense of urgency shuts them down. It's just a mess. So it's not good for everyone, but for me it works.
So I understand that the sense of urgency work, but sometimes when we are doing business, it may not be the best thing to do at all times. So one of the things we can look at is developing some type of time management, in reference to how you handle your day-to-day activities. So, for example, I know when you're writing a book, maybe we can look at adding a few pages, a day, or however you want to allocate your time frame. And then if we have a deadline to be able to, that we have to be able to complete the book, say for example, if it was November the 11th, the book needs to be completed, and you have this sense of urgency in your mind that makes you work a lot better, then you may take a fictitious deadline and say, hey, the book needs to be finished by October the 31st. And then once it's, in your mind, that's when you create your urgency, because you remember you have to do editing and all these other variables to get the job done. So although you are a one-person show, as being the author, but there's still other things that you have to put together and think about it. So stress is great, but sometimes it may not be great for your physical state. So I just want you to remember that. The next
Makes
thing,
a lot of sense.
thank you. The next thing is, how can too much work impact the workplace? So can you give me an example when you have like too much work that may impact you?
Too much work. Okay, again, for me, that's pressure.
Okay.
That's a positive thing for me. It's not positive for everyone. So it could be very stressful. Too much stress for some people can be like a total shutdown. Some people might even get sick. But it's just not a good thing for not everybody. It all depends on the individual. So it all depends on how that individual can handle that amount of stress on them.
Okay. So I guess planning is so important, when there's too much work. And I would never want anybody to be stressed out, not even you, in reference to getting a job done. That goes back to what I mentioned earlier about time management. But then if there's a lot of things that are going on at one time, then we need to consider perhaps adding other team members and perhaps doing a little bit more of delegation. So it won't be too much work on one person, and then you can perhaps free up some time to do some other things, or at least distress, and re-energize yourself. So just remember, when that do come up, just let me know, and we can be able to solve that issue together, okay?
Okay.
The next question is, how can other people not doing their part impact the workplace?
Oh, that can be devastating to a workplace or amongst a team or a group of people, simply because if we both came to the same job that we were hired, and we came to the job because we were hired to do a job and we we're both getting paid to do a job, but you're sitting there and you're not doing your work, and I'm catching the slack for you, trying to do your work and my work, you're still getting credit for your work. You're still getting a paycheck for your work. But however, I'm doing all the work. Now I'm angry. I'm mad. There's tension. There's some aggravation there, and there's going to be some resentment between me and you, and it's going to show. So that's not a good thing.
So if that's ever a situation when you feel like that you're putting on somebody else's job, which, like you mentioned before, they're getting paid for something and you're getting paid for something, but at the end of the day, I only see results. So therefore, that person is getting credit for the work that you have done.
Mm-hmm.
So I prefer to have some sort of communication. I want to make sure I create a culture that you can bring anything to me and it won't be any kind of retaliation back on you. I just need to know that things are being done by the person that's being hired. Or I need to look at something differently in reference to how I'm delegating work, and look at whomever's strength. Maybe I need to do some retraining or whatever the situation may be. But I will not know any of these issues unless it's being communicated to me. And I want you to feel comfortable with that communication channel. We can have a quick, a stand-up meeting with the team just to make sure, if I have to sit side by side by employees, and I hate to micromanage, but if I have to sit side by side, then I have to sit side by side to see who's doing what work, just to make sure that we hire the proper person to be able to complete the job that we are paying them for.
Sounds good.
So I just want to make sure that that's being clear as well in reference to you're not adding on stress or somebody's taking credit for the work that you've done. The last question is, how can conflict between and among employees impact the workplace or impact your situation? Can you provide me an example of that?
Conflict can be a good thing or it can be a bad thing. Sometimes conflict between people can get the ideas to rolling and bouncing around and jumping off the walls, and you can come up with great ideas because people are conflicting on what they're, no, I don't think that's the right way, you should do it this way, and that's how ideas get started and get thrown around. However, bad conflict can cause a bunch of tension amongst a group or people or team, individuals, and it can be a bad thing. It can be something that's you don't need amongst your people, and something that needs to be addressed.
That's right. One of the things, like when dealing with conflict, it's always a part of a negotiation, and sometimes there's reservation points, with people when you have trying to win and the other person trying to win. It should be like a give and take type situation, meaning that you're not going to win 100%. They know they're not going to win 100%, but then you decide to give up 25%, and they decide to give up 25%, whatever, and you can make it a 50% exchange, as far as resolving the issue, because you're not going to find two people who are going to think alike, and you're exactly right. That's how ideas, innovation, creativity come about. So if we can take that methodology and kind of horn that and say, this is the way for us to be very, very, great in our organization, instead of making it a negative, confrontation. We can make it into a positive one, but we're going to have to figure out as a team, how can we better that, and make sure that the conflict doesn't turn into some type of negative end state. We want to make sure it's a positive end state. So we're going to have to figure out sometime when conflict do come about, what is your reservation point? What are you willing to lose in order to gain? It's not like you've given up, but again, yes, we got to keep moving on in the organization itself. So, Ms. Linda, I truly appreciate you taking the time to do this interview. I know you and I done a lot of stuff together in relates to our businesses, even just jobs itself, as individuals, as you being a supervisor, going into your doctoral studies and doing the Jack Welch Management Institute. I'm happy that you took the time You know, and I know you got your busy schedule to
Yes.
participate in this interview with me, and I thank you.